So you're a bit of a student of the sport.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd call myself a moto geek, to be honest.
Join the club, mate.
Yeah.
You're talking to two more of those. So the difference is we just don't have your riding skills.
We've got a lot of opinions. We just can't put it into our practice.
Yeah.
There were times I was lost, dark had fear, couldn't see through the rain. In the end it was clear, hit the fan. I was more than one man who was there to lend a hand. Together we'd stand, always at my back, my guardian soldier. Team pulled together, united we conquer. Blessed is he who in the name of charity carry me when I'm weak straight through the valley of darkness. Pitch blackness, the heartless, regardless, fear couldn't part us. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. We ride, ride. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper.
Welcome back, Moto fans. We haven't come up with a name for this show yet, but it's going to be a bit of a ProMX Wonthaggi review and a Horsham, what do you call it, Trav?
Catch up.
No. When you look into the future.
Insight.
No.
Prediction.
Yeah, what can we expect out of Horsham? Actually, let's run with preview. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our partners for this episode. Graphics by Aqua, Deathgrip Products, Works Racing, Wolf Building Compliance, Iro, 5 Gloves, and Bolt Premium Racewear. He's already spoken into the mic, but joining me in the Moto Asylum for this episode is Deathgrip Products. Travis Coward, my old partner in crime. How are you going, Trav?
Good to be back.
It's good to have you back.
Good to be back, man.
Yeah.
Back in the saddle.
Yeah, it's been a very, very long time, mate. What's been happening?
Oh, a bit of this, bit of that,
Talk to me.
Just my hermit lifestyle.
Hermit lifestyle. You've been building a pool empire.
Building a swimming pool empire.
Yeah. So
that's taken up a lot of time.
Yep. Selling moto gloves is no doubt lucrative.
Yes.
But it's not going to build you the empire that you...
Well, the gloves just pay for fuel for the Rolls Royce, but other than that, I need some sort of income. So
yeah, it's not going to give you the lifestyle that you're accustomed to living.
No.
Yeah.
Those expensive super yachts don't pay for themselves.
Yeah. So it's been a while since you've been on the bike. How's that all going? You're going to be back anytime soon. I definitely miss having you at the track.
Counting the days. We're definitely on the home stretch to getting back on the bike, and I've been doing everything I can to keep my sanity in the meantime by, keeping my fitness up. So I'm ready to hit the ground running.
So
I probably shouldn't use the pun. Hit the ground, hit the bike, hit the track.
Hit the track running?
No,
hit the track.
I don't want to run though. I can do enough of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hit the track.
Hit the track. Just get back into it.
Yeah, get back into it. If you're listening, Dean Mosig, Trav's going to be coming your way to buy himself a brand new YZ250 very, very soon. So
An anniversary edition, the white one.
Yeah, make sure you
polish it up.
Yeah, and put a little bit on top just for yourself. All right. Well, as promised, we're going to be talking a bit of ProMX. So just starting off, Trav joined me out at Wonthaggi for round 1 of the 2024 ProMX. So yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a chat about round 1, mate. So yeah, what's your thoughts of the day in general? Like when we got there, how it was all set up?
Again, the track looked amazing. Weather, bang on. Couldn't get perfect weather.
It was, wasn't it?
So good. Such a good day.
For the second year running.
Yes. After the unfortunate events of last year, the vibe was really good.
It definitely was. One thing that I definitely noticed, or two things I should say, was the crowd. Mm-hmm. So awesome crowd this year.
Yep.
I think in part the weather and in part I think Moto is looking very healthy at the moment. And the other thing that I definitely noticed, even on Saturday, there was lots happening being round one. So the riders were there to do their official photo shoots, and all the teams were setting up for the day, was the amount of satellite teams. Obviously, the factory teams are, they've always got their big semis. The amount of satellite teams that are now setting up in the pits.
I was about to ask that question. Is it just me, or is there a lot more teams out there this year?
Yeah, a lot more teams, and some of them have really invested in their setups, like Rising Motorsports out of Queensland. Like they had the full semi and pit tent set up. It was unreal. Like it looked like a factory team. We had Winter Motorsports were out there. Yep, so they're out your neck of the woods.
They sure are.
Yep, from Nunawading, so some of the boys from out there. Elliott Brothers, of course.
They've gotten big since last year.
Yep.
They've got the whole big setup.
Good riders this year too.
Yeah.
Some really good riders. Brett Metcalf's Go 24 team. Emma Milisevic's new Nutrien Honda team. Obviously, she's just a one-woman show at the moment. Yeah. But I imagine maybe she'll be adding some riders to that.
No, it's good to see all these new teams coming out and having a crack.
Yeah. Rockefeller Racing and Better by Dirt, like two little teams, but they got a few riders out there that are representing now as well.
Got to be in it to win it.
No, it's definitely very, very cool. So, yeah, as you sort of mentioned, I thought same thing. It was a really, really cool vibe this year. It was happening. People got there early, like the crowd. And I think there was a high level of anticipation for the day's racing as well. Actually, before we get into the racing, both of us have watched this back since being there on the day on the television. What was your thoughts about the broadcast this year?
I thought it was televised a little bit better this year. As far as showing the track. And as we discussed, you can actually grasp the concept of how rough the track is.
Yeah.
A little bit more on TV this year. So, I think they've done a good job this year.
Yeah. I thought the commentating was good. Like, I thought this year, Lee Hogan...
They got the riders' names right. And
yeah. But even the telecast itself seemed to cover a few more riders. Yeah. Like, it didn't follow the leader or second place around the whole time.
Yeah.
They had some good replays of some of the incidents that happened throughout the racing. Yeah, like I said, kudos to Hogs and Hammy. It felt more like when you watch the high-end motorsport racing and you get the commentating in that, you forget that you're listening to someone commentating a race. It sort of just goes with the product as you're watching. And I felt a lot more of that this year. Like I wasn't getting woken up basically and you go, oh, what's he talking about?
Yeah.
So, or there wasn't those stumbles of like, oh, there is rider, he's down, who's that? That sort of stuff. So it was a lot more seamless this year, I thought. If I had to have one complaint about the broadcast though, it looked like it was filmed like on a 2000s mobile phone.
Yeah, it did. It's a bit gritty.
Yeah, it's I don't know what sort of cameras the SBS crew are using, but I think it's time for an update.
You should just be happy that they're doing improvements every year and getting more coverage. So small steps.
Constructive criticism. Look, I thought the telecast was awesome. The only other thing, I guess, that disappointed me a fair bit, and I know it was on the live stream, but not having the MXW class covered.
Yeah.
I know they're obviously going to have limitations in terms of time and everything like that.
Is that why they're not showing MX2 Moto 1? That's
been the way for all the years. They've always only had the two MX1 classes. MX2 and MX3 have only ever been the second moto.
That's just time constraints again, you think?
Yep. But it would be great to see the MXW class up there, getting a Guernsey on TV and exposing that, because there's going to be a lot of young girls that watch that have probably never realised that that's a sport that they can potentially go out and participate in. So and some of those women out there just do an amazing job. Like, they're high-level athletes, they're gritty, they're tough, and look, for the most part, they're in every way as good as the boys. So they should be getting some TV time as well.
More coverage, yeah.
Yeah. Look, some of them are doing really well on the national scene and even like breaking into the world scene, like Charlie Cannon. That deserves to be seen, I think, by Australian audiences on a wider level than the ones that are just visiting the track or the fans that are tuning into the live stream.
Take note, SBS.
Yep. We already sort of touched on the track a little bit, but there was no big changes to the layout this year, but the prep was a little bit different to what we've seen in years past.
You had a chance to get out and walk the track
Yep.
quite a bit. So did
Yeah.
you see anything different? Like, what were your thoughts on the track from
It was,
up
it
close?
was massively different to last year. So the AMX Open last year and the ProMX last year, especially first thing in the morning, were like super wet and super deep and just looked like, you know, for anyone other than the best riders in the country, like it would just be hell to get around. The AMX Open this year, we saw something a little bit different where they didn't rip it as deep and they didn't water it as much. And I wasn't sure what we would get come ProMX. And it was prepped very, very similarly. And it shaped up very, very similarly to the AMX Open as well. So it wasn't anywhere near as deep. It was just as wet as it needed to be in the morning. So still, you know, still pretty wet, formed up big ruts, but it wasn't like just big and boggy where you just, you know, there's no way you'd walk across the track without losing a shoe.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like that. One thing that I did notice was from the spectator areas, you couldn't see how rough it was. Like when I was trying to cross the track with the camera, it was actually really sketchy. Like the ruts were pretty deep and the track was very rough, and it got rougher and rougher as the day went on. And it's funny, like I've been out and photographed now like a lot of amateur events, you know, regional races, Vic titles, and even like when the A-grade guys are on the track, you see them coming from some distance away and you've got time to get across the track.
Yeah.
You just look and it's, you know, it's like crossing the road. You kind of have that natural sense of how long it's going to take them to get to you. And yep, I've got shitloads of time to get across the track. With the ProMX guys, it's like you see them coming and there'd be 2 straights away and you're like, oh yeah, I've got all the time in the world. And I'd be like 2 steps onto this gnarly rough track, you know, with big holes and ruts and shit, and I'm trying to get across. And it's like you look up and you're 2 steps onto the track and they're bearing down on you. And you're just like, oh shit, run! Yeah. And they tell us in the media briefing before the race, you should have time to fall over, get back up, and, you know, and still make it to the other side safely. And the reality is these guys are so fast. If that happened, they'd have to be half a lap away.
You could fall over within half a second and get up, you'd be fine.
Oh, it keeps you on your toes when you're out on the track with these guys. And they do come off the track. They go over the corners. You know, we spoke about it off air. Cole Webster's little detour off the side of the rollers.
Yeah.
And they keep it pinned.
Yep.
You know, and it's great. They have such good spatial awareness. Like sometimes you'd be photographing and the rider comes from behind you and misses you by 200 mil and you absolutely shit your pants. But for them, like they've missed you by a country mile and you're not in their way. They just keep going. But yeah, like I said, it definitely keeps you on your toes. It keeps your heart rate pretty high.
Go back, change your jocks and keep going.
Yeah. But from being out on the track, I thought the track was great. It got rough really, really early in a way that we haven't been accustomed to seeing Wonthaggi get rough. You know, we saw it on the broadcast. There were sections that looked like moguls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they weren't ruddy. They weren't square edge bumpy. They were like weird, lumpy, throwing the bike sideways, kicking the front, kicking the back. You know, like watching that battle between Webster and Beaton. Just Webster's bike was just going.
Dancing all over the place.
Yeah, dancing all over the place. So it was really cool. But I think one of the benefits of having the track prepped this way, there's more passing lines. There's more line options. I think when it gets deep and wet in the old traditional Wonthaggi style, it becomes very much like slot car racing where you get 1 or 2 fast lines that are very close together. It's really hard to pass. So I think at the end of the day, it made for way better racing. And we saw some awesome battles in just about every class.
Some of the corners, it seriously looked like there's about 10 different lines.
Yeah.
Ruts in one corner.
Yep.
Yep.
And for these guys, they're good enough to go, you know, there's obviously going to be 1 or 2 that are faster, but the corners, the way they shaped up, there was lots of options where you could go fast enough if you're committed to passing. And we saw that, like riders passing on the outside before number 6, that step-up tabletop on the corner, riders going inside and then railing the outside. Ferguson went past Ryder Kingsford there. Mm-hmm. Webster went past Beaton there and then scrubbed number 6. And you know, that was
impressive.
Yeah, that was unreal. So that's sort of what you want out of a racetrack, isn't it?
very versatile and makes for, like you said, great racing. So,
well, we don't want to sort of go on too much. We're going to keep this thing moving along. So just to kick things off, we'll start talking about the MX1 class a little bit. I sort of said it already, but one thing that really struck me was the pace of maybe the top 10 guys.
Yeah.
I think in the first moto, they were lapping riders by the start of the third lap.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I know some of those riders that were up the tail end. And on any given day, like on a regional level race, they are fast. And yeah, Kyle Webster and Beaton and, Ferris, they're catching these guys within 3 laps at Wonthaggi.
It does seem like a lot of riders have a love-hate relationship with Wonthaggi. They either do really well or they struggle. So,
yeah.
I mean, do you think that could play a factor in such a diverse field?
Yeah, and you have to acknowledge it that, Kyle Webster and Jed Beaton, they're on the Beaton's Pro Formula program with Ross Beaton, Jed's older brother, and they've put in a lot of laps at Wonthaggi.
It shows.
Yeah. Not to take anything away, I think they are just amazing riders, and they're going to be up the pointy end regardless of what track they're on.
Yep.
But I think you could definitely make a pretty strong argument that they may not be as dominant on other tracks because of the amount of time they've put in at Wonthaggi.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see, and that's something we'll definitely want to talk about a little bit later. So in the MX1 class, was there anyone for you that stood out?
I'd have to say Beaton by far.
Yep.
Like, even though he didn't win, he just looked like a completely different rider to me. Just obsessed. Just his pace and the lines he was taking, the things he was doing on the bike were just super impressive. Yeah,
talking to people in the industry and, around the tracks and stuff like that have seen him ride in the lead up, it was really weird. There was like polarizing opinions.
Yeah.
There was people saying that he looks like he's struggling on the Yamaha. And I must admit, I'd seen him on a couple of occasions where he just didn't look comfortable. And then there was other people saying like, he's flying at the test track.
Yeah.
That old line. And I really didn't know what Jed Beaton we were going to get coming into round one. And I think, he definitely put any doubts I had to rest. Like I thought he looked amazing, like you said.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't know if it was a surprise because he's got those skills, but he definitely looked a lot different on the Honda, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, and I think he's a lot more happy in terms of the bike at Yamaha as well. It's a pretty serious team. Craig Dack's been around a long time, and he's
just looked a lot more comfortable on the bike.
Yeah. And comfortable to push.
Yeah.
I think that was the difference. Like watching him at Coolum at the end of last year, he had the great speed, but he just never looked like he wanted to push and get out of his comfort zone. And unfortunately, we already spoke about Kyle Webster swapping around everywhere and keeping it pinned going off the track. I think in order to compete with these guys, like you can't be in your comfort zone and be in the top 5 or probably even the top 10. You've got to get beyond that.
Yeah, but out of their comfort zone looks like they are in a comfort zone to us, because they ride so smooth, even pushing those limits.
Yeah, well, maybe most of the time, but I think at Wonthaggi there was lots of looseness happening and lots of moments. I interviewed Joel Evans just post-race, and he said to me that when they came past him, like the front runners, there's no way they can see where they're going. Like they're going that fast and the track was that rough.
Just because they're getting rattled around so much.
Yeah, yep. And it was just something like to hear that from someone that's a top 10 MX1 rider, and he was just blown away at how fast those guys are going.
That's just insane.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think this year they've all stepped it up. I think that's it's one of the best MX1 classes that we've had for a very long time, and everyone's healthy, more or less.
Now they've thrown Crawford into the 450 mix as well.
Yeah, and Wilson Todd. Now, he had some moments. That was, if you wanted a bit of entertainment, he was the guy to watch, I think. So, he definitely had some Wilbur moments out there. But, look, the proof is in the pudding for him. He got a 3rd place in Moto 1 and a 5th place, I think it was. Yeah, 5th place in Moto 2. Like, strong start.
Yep.
Stepping up to the big boy class. Would you have expected anything different?
You just don't know what to expect when these guys like switch bikes.
Yep.
You know, sometimes there might be a bit of a learning curve. You think they might drop back, and and then there's some other guys that just jump on it.
Yeah.
And are up there. So,
do you reckon he looks different on the 450 in terms of his riding style? I felt like he did.
a little bit. I just couldn't put my finger on what exactly it was.
Yeah. I think he has a lot more. I mean, they all do. But normally the change between bikes, I don't think is, to me anyway, like it stands out as much. He just, like he looks like he's crawling all over that 250 when he was on the 250. And in the 450, he just looked almost like a lot more conservative. And when he was trying to ride it like that, like in those moments, that seemed to be when he was getting sketchy. So I think he's still got a bit of a learning curve on the 450. That's my opinion anyway. But he's obviously up there with the speed. He's got the raw speed. And when he starts putting that together, he was so dominant on the 250. He's going to be one to watch. What about Crawf?
I was impressed.
Yeah,
that was another thing. I was like, going from the 250 to the 450. What's he going to be like?
Yeah.
And he was up there, so...
Yeah.
How did he do? What did he finish?
Crawford finished... I should pull that out from under there. Crawford got a 7th in the first moto.
But he had some issues in the first moto, didn't he?
Yep. And a 4th in the second moto.
Still.
Strong finish, yeah, again. He's a big guy. I think the 450 is going to suit him and his style. He's super creative. He's got crazy amounts of talent, and like I think it's the creativity for me that sets him apart. And if he can start pulling some of those creative lines and jump combinations on the 450, he's going to be up there. One guy that I wanted to mention, who I still, and I'm going to call him as being in the top 3 at Horsham, is Luke Clout.
Yeah,
I've been saying on the podcast that I felt like getting away from the high pressure environment that is CDR could, not necessarily that it would, but could suit him, because I feel like he doesn't ride his best in that high pressure environment, and that may have contributed to some of his crashes.
Do you think he looked more relaxed on the Kawasaki at Wonthaggi?
It's not that he looked more relaxed on the bike. I think the team environment, like Tyson Cherry from Empire, like he runs, they obviously want results, but he runs a very chilled sort of vibe. You go to their pit tent and you talk to them, and it's very chilled. Like it doesn't feel as clinical, and it feels like there's less pressure than when you go to CDR. Like CDR, everything's very serious. You know, the mechanics look serious, the team managers look serious, the riders look serious. You go past the Empire tent, and they're all, they're having a laugh and a joke. And like I said, they're expecting good on-track results. But it's just a completely different vibe. And, look at the end of last year at Supercross. Once the pressure was off, he all of a sudden, because he's got the skills. He's got the skills. And at the end of the year, once he had that confidence was back, and he knew that he should be up at the pointy end. The results just started to come. And I just think that throughout this season, he's going to go from strength to strength. Hopefully he just doesn't bin it at the next race and make me eat my words. But I can just see him actually being a contender this year.
Do you think it's the team environment, or just the pressure he's putting on himself to live up to the expectation of the team?
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I think Empire have expectations, but I don't think the riders feel that as much.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, we had a shit day today or whatever. And it's not like it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's like, let's move on and focus on the next round. Whereas I feel like at Honda and under the CDR tent, for instance, that those bad days probably carry a lot more weight.
Yeah.
Any other surprises or disappointments in the 450 class?
I have to say I would be a bit surprised about Ferris's ride.
We haven't spoken much about Ferris.
No.
In what way?
He looked off.
You reckon?
Yeah, it didn't look like normal Ferris. You think it looked like normal Ferris, or do you think that Beaton and Webster were that in a whole different realm?
I don't think Ferris has ever looked amazing at Wonthaggi. I don't think he's ever looked amazing at Wonthaggi.
He did say that Wonthaggi is his nemesis, so
Yeah.
could have been an off day, but
Yeah.
that was still surprising. The lead that the first two guys had 30 plus seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's if you're looking at the times, that's a long way off the pace.
That's very surprising.
Yeah. But I think moving into Horsham, hard pack track, deep ruts, I would have to say I think he's got to be one of the favourites coming into that round.
Yeah.
Kyle, as much as I would love to see him up the front again, he's yet to prove himself on the 450 on some of those hard pack tracks. Jed Beaton, I think, could do it. Crawford and Todd could come out of the woodwork for the next round as well. And, of course, like I said, I reckon Cloudy might end up on the podium.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
Normally you've got a bit of a inkling of they're going to do pretty good, but with the pack field this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and you sort of said it off air already. The differences in the tracks this year is going to make some exciting racing.
Yeah.
There are so many different surfaces and different tracks. We've got tracks coming onto the circuit that we haven't seen for quite some time in Horsham, Murray Bridge. We're going back to Gilman, back to Maitland. We've got Gympie, so there's another new round for
What'd
this
you call me?
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be very cool, I think.
Yeah.
Could throw some spanners in the works.
What's your overall take on the 450 class?
Like I said already, I think it's one of the strongest fields that we've seen for many, many years.
100%.
And if you had to say, can you pick a winner for this season? I really don't know. I would normally come into a year with a strong favourite.
Yep.
And I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you who I think would be in the top three, without putting them in any particular order.
Do you have any favourites?
I'd love to see Cole do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him get up there. It's going to be interesting seeing Jed Beaton and how that progresses on the Yamaha. Dean Ferris under the CDR tent. It's an even more supported high-tech ride than Brisbane motorcycles. So, he's on the same-ish platform, but he's got even more high-level support. So, you can never count him out. Crawford and Todd, it depends for those guys, I think, on how long it takes them to find their feet. They've already scored good points. So if it's within the next round or two, you can't count them out. Todd's won so many championships. He knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Cloudy's the same. He's a previous championship winner. And if he's enjoying himself and he starts to get some results, he's such a confidence animal. If he gets a win, I think these boys need to watch out. Once he gets a taste of that on the green bike, I think these guys really need to watch out.
Yeah.
Same as Todd Waters. I think he's not quite where he wants to be, but again, he looked strong. He could definitely be a podium guy at some of the rounds. What about you?
Who would I like to see win? I'd like to see Jed Beaton win.
Really?
Yep, I would.
And why is that?
I was super impressed with his ride.
Yep.
Just that fire he's got now. So.
Yeah, and after coming back from Europe and reigniting his career in Australia, that'd be pretty cool. I would tend to agree with you, except I feel like Cole's been lurking for too long.
He has. He's been so unlucky the last couple of years coming off tracks and crashes and stuff. So
yeah, and he said it about Wonnie. He's always seems to have tip overs or something happen
off the track.
Yeah, you look at the AMX Open, the first moto. Jacob Sweet went down right in front of him, and Cole went over the bars. He had a mechanical. It just seems to be can't get a break, can't catch a break.
To pull it off at Wonthaggi.
And finally, he said to me after the AMX Open, he said, I love this track, but it doesn't always love me. And I think at round one, it all came together.
He killed it.
So Wonnie finally gave him some love. Even in terms
threw him a bone.
Yep, it did with Jed going down in the second moto.
Yeah,
it definitely threw him a little bit of a bone, because that would have changed the overall if Jed had won the second one. they'd be tied on points, but Jed would be on top of the podium. And
Yep.
Anyway, all right, we'll move on to the next class, MX2. Well, what can we say here? It was the Brodie Connolly and Noah Ferguson show
Yeah, it was.
all day long. All day long. What did you think about those guys?
Speechless. Like, really? Like, where did these two come from?
Yeah. Well, we obviously know who they are, and I think Brodie Connolly is pretty much most people's favourite for the title this year.
Yep.
But, Noah Ferguson, I think everyone has touted him as having or being one of the most talented riders in the class, but he's just never been able to put it all together. So
Clearly he did.
yeah,
At Wonthaggi.
yep, to come out and put it to Connolly like that. Like, Connolly's been on fire for a while.
Yep.
Beat him in the first moto and catch him in the second moto. Like, Connolly was putting down the event fastest lap times I think at the start of the second moto, and Fergo was coming through the pack.
What happened to Ferguson?
I believe he had a mechanical issue that impacted his start.
Ooh.
Yep. So he started in 30th place and then worked his way up, and it was just an outstanding ride. Like, that was, if he was to go on and win the championship, that was like round 1, Moto 2. That was a championship winning ride. Yeah. To be able to go from 30th place and come through the field like that to salvage a third place, if you could call it salvaging a third place, to get all the way back up to third. Yeah.
That's like an old James Stewart comeback from dead last.
It was. That's going to be on the highlight reel. If he even comes close to winning a championship this year, that's going to be on the highlight reel as, one of the moments of the season.
Now, with the way Connolly and Ferguson were riding,
Yep.
do you think anyone can touch him?
Well, that's a really good question. If they ride like they did at Wonthaggi, it's really going to be hard to see anyone getting up to that pace, because they just seem and feel like they're on a different level. Ryder Kingsford's got the speed. I've seen him out at PBI where he just looks untouchable as well.
Yeah.
And obviously we're going into some hard pack tracks this later in the season. So maybe he will step up. Brodie Connolly is on the Beatons program. He's another one of those riders that's done a lot of laps at Wonthaggi. Noel Ferguson used to be on the Beatons program until the end of last year.
Yeah.
So he is now back up in Queensland and training up there. And I spoke to him at the end of the Supercross and even briefly at the AMX Open about that, and asked him whether, he was going to move back down to train. He said, no, he's actually enjoying it up in Queensland with the climate and the training and the program that he's on up there. And it's clearly working for him, clearly working.
Do you happen to know how many seconds they were out in front of the pack?
I would have to have a look. So in Moto 1, they finished 20 and a half seconds in front of Byron Dennis.
Wow.
That's a statement, right, isn't it? Yeah. And then, after that, it was fairly close. Byron Dennis and Ryder Kingsford were only a second apart. And then you had a little bit further back, Larwood, Cosford, Barham, Mather, Reese Budd and Jai Constantino, all within 10 seconds. So
20 seconds, that's a sizable lead.
Yep.
Like, normally you'll see the field spread out, a couple of second difference.
Yeah, and especially when you're talking about 20 seconds in front of a murderer's row of riders, accomplished MX2 riders.
That's insane.
Yeah, so, the absence of Wilson Todd and Nathan Crawford, it left a bit of a vacuum in the MX2 class, and I think we've just seen...
That's why I'm wondering if anyone can touch them, if they consistently ride this way.
Having seen Brodie Connolly at the AMX Open and just the speed he showed there, I was saying, maybe he could have a perfect season. Cole Webster did it a couple of years ago. When he was in MX2, he almost had a perfect season. I think he come third in one moto.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe Connolly could do the same thing, but now I don't think so. Like, I think Fergo's got the grit and determination. Like, where Connolly's a happy-go-lucky kid, like when you talk to him, he's super friendly.
Yeah.
And, Fergo's again, he's a bit of a student of the sport. He's quite knowledgeable. He's got some strong opinions. But when it comes to the racing, I think he's also got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's not that happy-go-lucky. Like, he wants results.
Got a bit of fire.
Yeah, he expects results of himself. He knows where he wants to be at.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to let sort of anything get in his way. So it's only been one round, but to see him start to put that together, and for me, that was a big eye opener. And especially, you could think that it might be an anomaly, one round in, but the changes that he's made to his program, he's obviously happy with. And I would say that it's probably the beginning of a new Noah Ferguson that we might see.
I hope so.
Yeah. In terms of other riders in the field, Byron Dennis, like, he's going to do super, super well. He got a third in Moto 1 and unfortunately had a mechanical issue in Moto 2. Byron Dennis was the champion last year in MX3, so definitely not someone you can count out. Ryder Kingsford, we already sort of said. Alex Larwood, on his move to Honda, unfortunately, he finished the first moto and did quite well. He got fifth in the first moto. However, I've heard since that he had a bit of an incident where he got a little bit cattywampus and he dabbed his foot and his leg went back and got basically dragged under the foot peg, and he's broken either his tib or his fib. Ooh. So he's going to be out for a little while. So that's disappointing. Jace Cosford for Yamalube Yamaha and Caleb Barham, his teammate.
Yeah.
They're super strong. Jack Mather narrowly missed out on a MX3 title last year.
He's good.
Yep, he's just stepped up. So he rode solid, good solid results, good solid points. I think when he finds his feet in that MX2 class, I can't see why he's not going to be up towards the pointy end. And of course, Reece Budd.
Like we said, maybe just Wonthaggi was everyone's nemesis track, and things could be totally different next race. So
beyond the top two in this class, I think the rest of those riders, like their finishing results at Wonthaggi, aren't necessarily going to indicate how they're going to go for the rest of the season. Like, I think you could throw a blanket over them and they could end up in any, jumble them around and spit them out on at any given track, and they're going to end up in a different order. But like we already said, Noah Ferguson and Brodie Connolly, wow, they were just, again, on a different level. So
if that's going to be the pace for this year, better look out.
Yep. And Connolly was out at PBI today.
Yep.
And he's just, when he's on it, there's just no one touching him. He looks like he's having fun. He scrubs it. He's just lays it down in the ruts. He's just a machine. And PBI is very much like a Horsham type track.
Surely you passed him a couple of times, yeah?
Yeah, I definitely did. Yeah. When he was sitting in the car park eating his lunch, I passed him. Yeah,
passed you.
Yeah, that's about the only time that I'm ever going to pass him on a motorbike. But yeah, he can ride hard pack, and I think that's where my question about Fergo is going to be for this season. I've seen Connolly last year ride really, really well in a variety of different conditions.
Albury, mud.
Yep. So he can, and he rode amazing at Wodonga.
Yep.
He looked like he was doing it easy where everyone else was falling over and just struggling in the conditions. And then, he can obviously ride hard pack super well. He can obviously ride sand and loam like Wonthaggi super well.
Yeah.
So I'm just not sure if I see a big enough weakness in his game. Obviously anything can happen through the course of a season, but I don't see a big enough weakness in his game that another rider could exploit enough for him to not win the championship. But like I said, Fergo's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's the unknown for me. The quantity is how he's going to shape up. Like we said, he's done lots of laps at Wonthaggi, so maybe that's going to skew the results. Or, again, I've seen him ride really well on hard pack tracks too, so there is a good chance that this is just the beginning.
So you think the next round at Horsham, being hard packed, will be a better prediction for the rest of the season results?
If those two are up the top and they're battling again, I don't think anyone will touch them for the rest of the season. You might get the odd race where other riders mix it up. But I think if those two end up in the same predicament where they're 20 seconds out in front of the rest of the MX2 field at Horsham, I just can't see any circumstances where someone is going to beat them consistently to be a championship threat.
The same could be said for MX1 too.
No, I think there's too many champions. Like the champion mindset.
Too much competition.
Well, guys that have won championships in MX1.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? MX1?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's too many guys that have won championships in MX1 that see themselves as being that top dog.
Yeah.
Whereas MX2, I think, like everyone's sort of trying to figure out where they need to be.
Trying to get those championships under their belt.
Yep. And I think those MX1 guys have enough experience, and especially like on any given track in any given conditions, that I don't see Jed Beaton being at the front every round. I don't see Ferris or Webster or Croft or Clout being, at the front in every round. I don't see one standout that is going to just dominate the rest of the season. Do you?
No, even last year was pretty similar. It was so mixed results.
Yep. Except when Ferris was on.
When Ferris was on, he's the only exception. But
yep.
It was so mixed results. It was constantly changing.
Yeah. And, I think in that MX1 class, if those guys are finishing consistently in the top 5, any one of those guys that we've just spoke about finishes in the top 5, that's what's going to win the championship. Whereas MX2, I think it's going to be hopefully the Connolly and Fergo show. And again, I'm confident that Connolly's going to be up there, and Fergo, I think by all indications, is
going to give him a run for his money.
Give him another round, and then he'll put a stamp on it. I think if he's up there in Horsham, that's it. It's on. It's on for young and old.
Oh, it's good. I mean, it makes for great racing.
Such a
Watching
show.
Battles like that, it's just what everyone comes to see.
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest things. Like we spoke about it earlier. Like I'm out on track taking photos, and I've got like a front row seat, so I get to see glimpses of moments, but I often don't get to see the whole race.
He's looking down the lens.
Like sometimes I don't even see who won the race.
Yeah.
And that's that's something I sort of need to change. I think I've got to get out there, take my photos, and then give myself the last 5 or 10 minutes of each.
See what's going on.
Each moto to actually just put the camera down and watch, because most of the time I'm a little bit paranoid. Most of the time I've got the photos in the bank that I need by that stage. It's always like, oh, what if something happens, or what if the photos I got already don't turn out, and I miss an opportunity to get another sick shot. It's just a mindset. So I've just got to get more comfortable knowing that those photos are in the bank, and I can now relax and go watch. And go talk to the riders afterwards. Yeah. All right. Moving on to the Easy Lift MXW class. This was a class where we saw some great riding. There wasn't a lot of great racing, and the results pretty much indicate the story of the day. Charlie Cannon went 1-1, Taylor Thompson went 2-2, Danielle McDonald went 3-3. Maddie Healy, she went 4-5. Emma Milicevic, I thought she was a bit of a surprise. I would have expected her to be more further up.
Yeah.
So what did she get? She got a 7th and a 4th. So I thought she'd be up there, battling with those top girls a little bit more. Talia O'Hare, so TJ, she for me was a super impressive. She came off Yuriv Konsky's Honda team last year, and she's doing the privateer thing this year on a KTM.
Yep.
So she finished the day 6th overall. She's got MXGP experience. That's the word I'm looking for. So she's got MXGP experience. She came back last year, was her first season back in MXW on the Australian team, on the Australian circuit. She could definitely make a mark and break into those, those other top 6 women. She rode awesome, looked strong out there. Looked like she was still coming to terms with the bike a little bit though. Definitely didn't look the same as she had on the Honda. But similar to MX2, Charlie Cannon, can anyone beat her? You know, she's this is potentially could be her fourth straight title, I think. Yeah, I think it's four in a row.
She's had that number one plate for a while.
Yeah. However, I didn't know her before the AMX Open.
Yeah.
Never heard of her. She's a big deal in the off-road scene. Danielle McDonald finished third on the day. She is an absolute weapon. Absolute weapon. I said it in our AMX Open review show. She crashed on number 6 in qualifying and ate it so hard. Like went over the bars, hadn't even stepped through when she hit the ground, face planted, plastics went everywhere, bike was bent up. This is in qualifying.
Jeez.
I thought I dropped my camera,
Yep.
ran over to the track, started waving my hands, you know, because the flaggy was a bit slow, waving the girls away because she was on the down ramp, and thankfully, you know, they could see me, so that was handy. But I didn't think she was getting up. She not only did she get up, she got back on. She was missing the front number plate and I think one of the side plastics on the bike. The handlebars were bent up, and she just put down some heaters.
Like a bent up bike.
If that was me, I'd still be laying on the track now.
Crying
Like,
in the
yeah,
fetal
that was like
position.
6 weeks ago. Yep. Yep. And like off the bike, she's just this soft-spoken, tiny little woman. I think she's only 16. But if anyone's going to put it to Charlie Cannon for the season, I think she's got that X factor. You know, she's tenacious. She's obviously super fast and super talented. I haven't even looked at her off-road results other than I know that she's done really, really well. Like she's been a bit of a junior phenom in the off-road scene. So it's going to be cool, you know, if as the season progresses, the girls have got 4 rounds this year. If by that stage, you know, by round number 2, she can be up and battling again with Taylor Thompson and Charlie Cannon. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, and obviously throw Maddie Healy and Emma Milicevic in the mix. Taylor McCutcheon. So if Taylor McCutcheon can recover, and you know, there's so many elements of recovering from a crash like she had. There's the mental side,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, which is probably I think bigger than the physical side, even though she had some pretty horrendous injuries.
Well,
you know,
injuries heal, like the mental aspect of that lingers for a lot longer.
Yeah. So, you know, she's obviously got the speed and tenacity to be up with those top girls. So if she can come back, she might be in the mix as well. So this MXW class is awesome. I loved watching it. I'd love to see him mix it up a little bit more. The next MXW round, which I think is in Murray Bridge. So that is round 5.
Yeah.
Yep, back at round 5, and then they finish up in Queensland. At the end of the season. So one good thing about the MXW round at Wonthaggi, though, was they had 22 on the gate, which is really, really good numbers.
Yeah, numbers are starting to pick up.
Yep. Yeah, and there's definitely some junior girls that I think are, you know, on the verge of breaking into the senior ranks as well. Some super fast ones. So I think in the next few years,
See the numbers going up, and like we've discussed previous podcasts, maybe they'll start adding more rounds.
Yep. Yeah, and I think if I heard correctly, I think the plan next year was potentially to have 5 of those rounds, but that was it. Like that was capping it out.
Yeah.
So whether or not it happens, I mean, they have 3 85 rounds and the 1 vet round as well. So how they mix it all up, I'm not sure how it'll be at the end of the season. But saying that, Coolum had vets and MXW as well. So maybe. Yeah, that'd be good to see. But yeah, there's some absolutely cracking, even younger women in there who are definitely going to step it up over the next year or two as well. So looking forward to seeing that. It's time to take a quick break to say a few words on behalf of our awesome sponsors. Listen to these ads all the way through and you'll find out how you can win some cool prizes by supporting the sponsors who support Mental for Moto. Deathgrip Products. Trav at Deathgrip Products was my very first in-studio guest and the first sponsor of the Mental for Moto podcast. As a rider, Trav wanted a glove that was affordable, lightweight, and maximised performance and feel, but couldn't find anything that ticked all of those boxes. And so he decided to design his own glove, and that's how he came up with the Deathgrip Reaper motocross and mountain bike gloves. I've been wearing Deathgrip Reapers for about 3 or 4 years and absolutely love them. Ever the supporter of the Mental for Moto podcast, Trav set up a discount code just for listeners of the podcast. So to get a whopping 35% discount, either visit deathgrip.store or the Mental for Moto website and enter the discount code MENTAL23, and you'll be able to pick up a pair of Deathgrip Reaper gloves for under $23. Wolf building compliance and fire protection. Having a quality fire extinguisher in your trailer and workshop is one good way to make sure that your valuable dirt bikes don't accidentally go up in flames. Servicing the Greater Melbourne area, Wolf can help you out with all your fire protection needs. Visit wolfbc.net or click on the link below and use the contact form, and the guys at Wolf will be sure to look after you. Graphics by Aqua. If you want a lit kit, Graphics by Aqua have got you covered. Neon colours, metal flaking, holographics. Graphics by Aqua are taking jersey prints, graphics kits, and graphic design to the next level. Best of all, Graphics by Aqua is locally based and exclusively use premium quality local suppliers for their full range of products and services. They even do custom logo designs and work uniforms. To see some of their awesome work, check out the Graphics by Aqua Instagram page and give them a follow while you're there, or simply follow the link below to visit their website. Shred Bike Care. The concept behind Shred Bike Care is simple. A clean bike is a fast bike. And with a complete range of products, from bike wash and degreaser to chain lube and surface treatments, Shred can have your bike looking clean and shiny every time you hit the track. To check out the full range on offer at Shred Bike Care, visit their website by clicking on the link below. Iro Helmets. Iro Helmets have won over 125 motorcycling world titles with world-renowned superstars including Antonio Cairoli, Jeffrey Hurlings, Marvin Muscan, even Jason Anderson. From the world stage right down to the grassroots motocross scene, Iro is the title sponsor of the 2024 Gippsland Motocross Championships and even supports up-and-coming local legends such as Memphis Trevina and Zane McIntosh. As one of the lightest and safest helmets on the market, when it comes to protecting my most important asset, I choose Iro as well, and I've been wearing Iro helmets for nearly 5 years now. To check out the range of Iro helmets, head into your local dealer today or click the link below to visit the website. Works Racing Goggles. Roll-off systems are expensive, right? Wrong. For under $100, you can get yourself a quality set of Works Racing goggles complete with the Works Racing roll-off system and never have to worry about having clear vision again. And unlike many other roll-off systems on the market, the unique design of the Works Racing roll-off system maintains a wide field of vision while minimising the width of the outer frame, so they'll fit nearly all senior and junior helmets. See clearer in 2024 with Works Racing goggles, now also available via the Mental for Moto website. Bolt Everywhere Premium Racewear. Growing up in the 90s moto scene, I love nothing more than a brightly coloured gear set. And they don't get much better than the 2024 range from Bolt Everywhere. My personal favourite colourways are the Blast 4.0 Vibrant Apparel and the Blast 4.0 Pink Apparel. Fully Australian owned, Bolt can even personalise your gear with in-house jersey and sponsor printing. To set yourself up with a premium quality Bolt gear set for the 2024 season, head over to the Bolt Everywhere Insta page and DM Tom to place your order now. 5 gloves. The new 5 MXF race motocross gloves have just hit the market, and having had the opportunity to test these out at the local track, I can tell you that they are quite unlike any other glove I've worn. As the highest end handwear in the 5 range, the quality, function and comfortability of the MXF race is obvious the moment you slip them on. Whether you prefer motocross, bush or even road riding, 5 have a glove to suit every motorcycling discipline and every budget. Simply click on the link below to find the 5 glove that is right for you. Now, to say thanks to our amazing partners and you listeners for supporting the sponsors who support Mental for Moto, here is how you can win some prizes. All you need to do to enter is post an Instagram story of you using a product or service from one of our partners and make sure you tag Mental for Moto so we see it. I'll be giving away a new prize every month to the most creative post. Now, let's get back to this episode. All right, well, we'll get on to MX3. We might as well call in our guest for this evening, a young gentleman by the name of Kayden Strode, who had a PB at round 1 in Wonthaggi.
Let's do it.
All right, joining us to talk a little bit about the MX3 class at Wonthaggi, we have one of the MX3 races on the day, a definite standout, Kayden Strode. How are you going, Kayden?
Yeah, I'm going pretty good, Pete. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. I've got Travis Coward in the studio here. He's co-hosting, so yeah.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Yourself?
Not too bad. Thanks for coming.
Good to hear. Good to hear you well.
Let's talk about your day a little bit first, Kayden. Yeah, you had some great results. Bit of a PB for you, mate. How was your day at Wonthaggi?
Yeah, well, it was pretty sensational. Yeah, obviously that was my best finished of the ProMX series so far. Like, because I did the whole series last year, and I don't know, I felt really, really comfy on the bike, and I have a good program behind me right now. It just makes everything easier and focused, and I just really enjoyed the track. I reckon the track crew did a really good job with all that, and to me, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, so in your opinion, you know, having been out there, we can definitely have our opinion from the sidelines, but how was the track different to what you've ridden before?
Well, normally, say, like at a regional round, they don't rip it as deep, but going off past ProMXs, like last year's, it was super, super deep. And I'd say like wet. And now, like it was obviously hot on the day, and it had like a little bit of a crust, but the moisture was still in it all day.
Yeah.
Well, with my two races, it was still in it. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Like all the ruts were like smooth, and like when I mean smooth, there wasn't like giant hooks, and they weren't like blowing out as such. They were still pretty sick. Like obviously they were deep.
Yeah,
deep and rough, don't get me wrong, but
sorry, you'll have to excuse me laughing. You're just talking about how the ruts are smooth, and like watching the televised race, the ruts did not look smooth at all. It looked like there was a whoop section in each rut.
Yeah, well, they were pretty whooped out like that, but like you got to find like your lines and stuff to make them smooth. But I don't know, when I mean smooth, they weren't like hooky as such.
Yeah,
so that was good.
Yep. Did you find that it got, like, not being ripped as deep and watered as much, that the track overall generally got rougher?
Yeah, I do reckon, because I know it was obviously like whooped out as well, but it had like a little like chatter in it as well in a lot of sections. So I don't really know how, like, because in years past, it obviously it's just massive rollers, and then there's a little bit more chatter this year, I reckon.
Yeah, I felt like the way it sort of formed up by the end of the day, and it was, you know, in my opinion, it was crazy rough, but it allowed for more lines and more passing opportunities and like multiple fast lines. So there was usually obviously the one fast line, but was that your experience? Like you came back, especially in Moto 2, you definitely made a few passes. How did you sort of find it in terms of passing?
Yeah, I actually found it like really well. Like there was like heaps of passing like movers in like basically every corner.
Yeah.
Like you just got to like find the lines and like just go in and like open up like the corners and stuff, and everything, like heaps of corners. There might have been like one or two that you couldn't pass, but majority of them you could. And there's a lot of passing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good.
So do you find on a track like that, do you normally stick to one line or do you move around a lot? Like, how do you sort of play that out in your head?
Well, like there's a lot to it, but what I try to do, like if there's like no one like you're trying to battle with, and like if you're just like by yourself, obviously exact same line every time. But when you're battling with someone, you can tell like where like they're slower at, so you just got to like make the move like there. So when I'm behind someone or chasing, you do move around a fair bit. But then if you like got a clear track, you stick to the same line.
Yep. So do you just have to commit to a line that you don't sort of know already to pass?
Well, on what I do on the siding lap, I figure that all out, like where I'm gonna go.
Yep.
Like roughly, like all the lines and stuff. And then if you don't know, you just got to kind of like just take the risk.
Yeah.
If behind someone battling, and if you go in it and then you come out and they're like heaps more in front, you just say to yourself, I better not go there next lap.
Yeah.
So on the flip side to that, if you're riding defensive and someone's behind you, how do you pick your lines then?
You just got to try to like protect your insides and stuff.
Right.
Because I know when there's people behind me, I know in myself where I'm faster than them.
Yep.
And like where they're faster. because you're always like you got to keep them like aware, like where they are as well. But that's also a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, especially on a rough track, you're just trying to keep it upright, keep your own race going, and then worry about guys behind you as well as in front.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we spoke post race, and I think you said that your best result previously wasn't even a top 15. So to be jumping well inside the top 10. So what were your moto finishes? I think a 9th and a 6th. What do you attribute that to? Like, that's a massive step up in a very stacked MX3 class.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously, like you said, my moto finishes were 9th and 6th, and I think I'm pretty sure last year my best finish just in one moto was an 18th.
Yeah.
So I did take a fairly big jump, but after last year, after Coolum, because I didn't have the best Coolum and Q&P, I did pretty average there. And then, I don't know, put my head down, had a massive pre-season, and just been grinding and working pretty hard towards it all, and it's just been paying off.
Yeah. So your fitness would you say your fitness is better this year?
Oh, yeah, 1,000 times better, because I've been doing the John Park program.
Yep.
So we've been all doing that pretty hardcore gym stuff. So I reckon that's helped so much.
I know you touched a little bit on your good riding because of your comfort on the bike and how much more comfortable you are. What would you attribute that to your fitness to be comfortable?
Yeah.
Like what makes you comfortable on the bike?
Yeah, I would say the fitness has a massive help with my comfiness on the bike, and then also the suspension. I get Bruce Lindsay to do my suspension, and we've been working with him, and it's really good. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
And then just riding more, and like me, I never used to really understand what was going wrong. To say if my suspension was out or the tires were wrong, and it's just understanding the bike a bit more. Yep. I feel, and to make the little adjustments.
Yep. So would you consider yourself to be a pretty good test rider then? Like, how good a feedback can you provide to the suspension guys when they're setting it up?
Well, I'm getting better. I used to be pretty average. I would just jump on it and say, oh yeah, this is good. But I still wouldn't say that I'm an awesome test rider, but I'm starting to become good at it. Now, I never used to be able to tell if my sag's out, but now I can.
Yep.
And it's just, me and Dad's just been doing all the adjustments at the track and all this stuff. So I'd say, yeah, I'm getting good at.
You're getting better at it.
Telling what's wrong, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really big part in, developing as a rider, especially if you're going to get to the pointy end in the premier classes as well. Like learning how the bike works and recognizing how to make changes and be able to tell that to your team is obviously pretty important. So if you're doing it now in MX3 and you're 16 years of age, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 16. I'm turning 17 in May.
Yep. So yeah, if you're on that right track already, I think
off to a good start. Yeah,
definitely. So have you ever ridden up at Horsham before?
Yeah, I've ridden there since I've been on a 65, because they normally do in what they call the MX Amateurs. They do an event at the start of March, but this year it got cancelled because it was 40 plus degrees. But I normally ride there I'd say once or twice a year, so I'm pretty keen and confident going into round 2. So, and I like the track; it's such a sick layout, so I'm pretty excited about it.
So, how would you sort of describe the track up there?
Well, it is the clay base, that clay base, and it gets how ride park gets that nice curly ruts that curl over the wave form. They get good ruts like that, so that's pretty sick. And then it's just the boys and girls that do all the track prep and all the stuff down there. It's so sick. Even the canteen facilities are sick. All the facilities they got there are amazing. Yeah, that's just a good track. I just love it.
Yeah, I've never been to Horsham, and everyone keeps telling me that it's got the best facilities of any circuit of the season. So
yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. So just before we move on a little bit more to Horsham, just going back to Wonthaggi, did you sort of watch it back? Have you watched it back on TV at any of the other races?
Yeah, I've rewatched the MX3 race, and then I watched some of the MX1 Moto 2 from I watched the start and then 3/4 of the race.
Yeah. So, what were your thoughts on the rest of the MX3 class and the racing that took place?
Well, I reckon it was actually pretty sick rewatching it because the WBR boys, they absolutely just killed it, and it was good to watch them. Obviously, the camera was on them a lot of the times, and the top guys. And I don't know, I learned a bit from their riding, just how they do stuff and how relaxed they looked also.
Yeah. Yep. No, they did.
And it was good just to look back because they are the riders that's in front of me, so it's also good to learn and rewatch and see what they were doing and how they were going as good as they go. And stuff.
So you're a bit of a student of the sport.
Well, yeah, I'd call myself a moto geek, to be honest.
Join the club, mate. Yeah. You're talking to two more of those. So the difference is we just don't have your riding skills.
We've got a lot of opinions. We just can't put it into our practice.
Yeah. What can you tell me about Deacon Pace? Because, he's not someone that has been on my radar before. And he's, especially in Moto 2, he started in Moto 2 and he led for, it must have been at least, a third to half the race. Do you know him? He rode unreal.
Yeah, he's a really good rider. He's pretty fast, that kid.
Yep.
I've spoke to him a handful of times. I don't know him personally, I'd say, but I've raced him obviously all last year, and then I've seen him around at junior Aussies and just stuff like that before.
Yep.
But he's a really good rider. I don't know much about him. I know he's from WA.
Yeah.
That, but he's a really good rider because he last year was pitting under the Davey Motorsports, and I'm pretty close friends with Whitey and all the people that's involved with Davey Motorsports and stuff. And he seemed like a really good kid, and he can ride a bike really fast. And that's all I know.
Yeah, some of those West Australians seem to do really well at Wonthaggi too. Like Kyle Webster's obviously a West Australian, from background. And he loves that place. I think you might have to lodge a protest against Deacon Pace though, because I'm just looking at the run sheet and it says he was riding an SXF 350.
Pardon?
I'm looking at the run sheet and it says Deacon Pace was riding an SXF 350.
Must have been a typo.
Yeah, you might have to lodge a complaint, mate. You'll be up to 5th place next. So, yeah. What about some of the other racing through the day, like the MX1 and MX2 classes? What were your standouts, or were there any disappointments? Do you think in any of those classes? Start with MX1.
Well, I wouldn't say there's any disappointments. I just really like to watch the boys and see how they do stuff, how they'd go around the track and stuff.
Yeah.
It was actually really good to watch the battle between Webster and Jed Beaton in the second moto. That was really cool to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously they battled and then Jed pulled a bit and then the race ended how it ended and stuff. Because I was actually watching that one in person because obviously my moto's finished and that was the last moto of the day. But it was really cool to watch. But I was also to watch the people that were in between 5th and 10th. I like to watch them riders as well.
Yeah. Yep. So who in particular?
I like to watch Luke Clout. I really like him.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of him. And then a couple of the privateers that are coming up that dabble in the 10th place stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Whoever is on a day, I like to watch them.
Yep.
And stuff and see how them go. And obviously, I train with Jay's Oates and the Oates MX crew, so I like watching Braden Creds and Riley Fusco, and I like to watch them because I train with them during the week, so I'd like to see
for sure
how they go and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, no, they're some of my favourites to watch as well. Yeah, no, there was some definitely some good privateers in that MX1 class, like Joel Evans and I mean Zach Watson rides for the Rising Motorsports team, but that's a satellite team. He did really, really well with a couple of top 10 finishes as well.
Yeah, he did really well because he used to be on the Ride Red last year, the Ride Red program that I'm on.
Yep.
The Yuri Konski one. That's how I originally knew of him.
Yes.
And yeah, he was riding really good. And then Joel Evans was riding really good as well. I've been a fan of Joel Evans for a while. I watch him on YouTube.
Yep.
And I like to see how he goes over overseas in races in like Thailand and stuff. I reckon that's really cool.
Yeah, well, he's actually over in Thailand this weekend, and he flies back on Tuesday, and then heads up to Horsham. So yeah, I'm hoping to catch up with him once we get to Horsham and find out how that went.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got some pretty good stories about that. Like, he's doing the Ks. That's pretty sick to see.
Yeah,
I like to see it.
Yeah, he's living the privateer life, that's for sure. But it's cool to be able to go and, like, I would never have picked Thailand to be a place where you'd go to race motocross.
No.
So yeah, when he told me that, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, would you travel around to places like that at some point?
Yeah, well, if I got the opportunity, I'd definitely take it on board with two hands.
Yep.
Like, I'm at the start of the year, like, it was actually Australia Day. I was racing in New Zealand, doing the Woodville GP.
Yeah.
So I had a good experience over there, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, it's an international ride, and there's nothing like it. It's pretty sick, no matter where it is. It's just a good experience because you're outside of your comfort zone and all that cool stuff.
Yeah, I think, and surely having to ride like overseas and like you said, where they do things a little bit differently, you know, it's never exactly the same as in Australia. Like it's got to give you some peace and comfort when you come back to Australia and it's sort of like the same old that you know.
Yeah, it is, especially like when I went over to New Zealand and raced, like there's heaps of little things that were different, like the start gates, they were different, and like they had no like starting board over there. They had like this digital countdown clock thing. It was weird. I've never seen it before.
Oh, instead of like a 15-second board or a 30-second board?
Yeah, instead of the boards, they just had they like had a big digital screen, and then it like counted down from like 10 or something. It was strange.
And then when it gets to 0, it's like 5 seconds until the gate drops. Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, I still don't understand because
I'm like, everyone could just go on one.
Yeah, because it counted down to 0, and then like it dropped randomly.
Yep.
But it was weird because as soon as it like hit like 3 seconds, I was just looking at the gate because I didn't know what to do.
Yep.
But yeah, it was like when it got to 0, it would like drop randomly whenever old mate pulls the trigger.
No one just dropped the clutch on 0 and just ran straight into the gate.
I'm sure it's happened. Yeah. What about in the MX2 class for you, mate? That was, again, there was some ripper racing. Some of your Honda counterparts definitely put on a show there. What did you think about the MX2 class?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually get to watch all of it, and because that was like my race was either just before or just after or something.
Yep.
But yeah, obviously, I'm a really big fan of Noel Ferguson and Brodie Connolly. Like they're, I don't know, standout riders to me, and it's always good to watch them ride and stuff.
Yep.
Like I'm pretty sure, was it Noah that won Moto 1?
Yes. Yep. He just beat Connolly in Moto 1. Yep.
So I'm pretty sure their moto was before mine or whatever, like however it ran, because I watched that one. Because I watched Noah how he won, and that was sick. It was a phenomenal ride. Yeah. I like watching them. They're really good.
Even more impressive than that, though, in the second moto, he came back. So I think on the first lap, he was 30th. By the end of the second lap, he was up to 12th. And he ended up coming back all the way to 3rd. And, I mean, he passed to get to 3rd.
It's like a James Stewart comeback.
Yeah, from 30th.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he passed Reece Bard and Ryder Kingsford and Jack Mather and Caden Minier and Caleb Barham and Byron Dennis. Like, you know, he went through some absolute killers to get back up to 3rd place. That, for me, was like I don't know, it was almost a statement ride. So
yeah, it was insane. I don't know how he did it, but he did it, and he did it pretty well. He finished 2nd overall for the day, didn't he?
Yeah, 2nd overall, yep. So, he's only 2 points behind Connolly. So, and I spoke to, when those boys were on the podium, I spoke to Yariv. He was standing next to me, and I made a bit of a joke about, like, oh, you're off to a great start. And I meant, like, for the season, you know, because they're doing really well. You know, Webster had won the first race, and then his 2 MX2 boys had ended up on the podium. And he thought I meant the start of the race, not like the start of the season. And he was,
really?
Yeah, he was actually, like, I'm sure, you know, afterwards he would have been happy. But at the time, like, he's got 2 guys in 1st and 2nd on the podium, and he wasn't happy. And like I said, he thought I was talking about the race. And the reason that Noah had started in 30th, they had an issue, like it was a small mechanical issue with the bike. And I think that had affected Brodie in the first race as well. Like that's why he dropped back a little bit. You know, he was leading by heaps. And so, so Urief wasn't happy with that. So,
well, I didn't know that them boys had a little bit of a issue.
Yep.
But they did pretty good considering they had a little issue. That's pretty serious.
Oh, yeah, crazy. Like, you know, and I just can't see the way that they rode. Like Ryder Kingsford, you know, he's a beast as well. But I can't see really anyone in the field there touching him if they ride like that again.
Well, they're all like high performance athletes. Like they're all just as good as each other. They're all very, very good riders.
Yep.
So I'm actually, me personally as a fan, I'm excited for Horsham and Gilman, the rounds to come, to see where all the championship goes between the riders. Like I'm also a really big fan of Reece Budd.
Yes.
Like I reckon he's such a sick dude and rider.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him be up on the podium as well.
So he looked. Did you get to see him ride at all?
Yeah, I did actually. In practice qualifying, I watched him then.
Yep.
But then that was like really about it.
Yep. You know, even on the day and then watching him back on the telecast, to me, he looked like he was riding like really conservatively, like that there is potentially going to be a lot more in the tank as he gets more and more comfortable on that bike. Like when he was battling at one stage, I think it was in Moto 2 with Ryder Kingsford, and Kingsford ended up going around the outside, but like you could see he was reining it in. Like he never got loose. He never looked like he was pushing 100%, even like to hold that position. I think he was obviously riding like super smart. So I think, as the season progresses, he could definitely be one that is up the pointy end as well. I'd love to see him, you know, battling with Brodie and Noah, that's for sure, and Ryder.
Yeah, I would like to see, because it's a pretty stacked class. Like within the whole like top 10, them guys are just wicked fast. Like they're all just crazy.
Yep.
So there'll be some good battling for the next up and coming rounds. And I'd like to see how Reece goes, when he's comfy, or just, I'd like to see him on the box, to be honest. I'm a big fan of him.
I reckon our MX2 class is, it's like at a world level, you know, for MX2. There's, like you said, the top 10, there's just so many. Like when you look at Jai Constantino, you know, 15th, Bailey Malkowitz, 14th, Yokoyama, 13th, you know, Larwood, Ryan King, Brock Flynn, Byron Dennis, you know, Byron Dennis in 9th. I know he had an issue and didn't finish the second moto, but it's like all the way down, you know, to 15th, even to 20th. Like you got Chandler in 16th, Chandler Burns.
Yeah.
Reed Taylor's in 19th. You know, none of these guys are slouches. It doesn't matter how far you go down the field.
I know. It's such a stacked class.
Yeah.
And even Jack Mather, he's a really good rider, and he's up there as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So he finished 7th
the
on
race
the day.
line.
Oh, sorry, 6th on the day. Yep. So
so it's a pretty good field. Like I'm in MX2 in 2 years, because I've got this year and then one more.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
I'm actually excited to race them boys as well.
Yep.
So it'll be sick.
It'll
be a bit cool, because most of them boys I look up to, and they're like, I'm a fan of theirs, and then I'll race them in like 2 years. So it'll be pretty cool.
That's so sick. Yeah. It's and it'll probably be a little bit different by the time you get there, because you'll have some of your MX3 counterparts stepping up as well, and some of those MX2 guys might end up, you know, having stepped up to MX1 by that stage. So yeah, it's going to be good. So coming off, you know, a season best at Wonthaggi that was, you know, exceptionally a season best, what sort of mindset does that put you in coming into Horsham? Like, do you have expectations of yourself to be able to repeat that, or are you just going to sort of go in and see what happens?
Yeah, well, like, it gave me more confidence, because going into round one, like, I was unsure, like, of everyone else's riders' abilities, and I was really just going to Wonthaggi, like, going in. Obviously, I still wanted to go really good, but I had, like, a fun mindset. Like, I'm going to go and have fun. Like, obviously, I've got my goals and stuff, but didn't, like, be too hard myself. Just wanted to go out, have fun, and just ride to the best of my abilities. Like I can only control what, like me and my riding.
Yep.
Like I can't control anything else. So yeah, that's where I'm with a fun mindset, and I'm going to go into the exact same fun mindset for round 2. Obviously, I've got like a rough idea where like I am, so just try not to put too much pressure on myself. So yeah, I'll just go in, have some more fun, see what I can do. So yeah.
Such a great attitude, mindset to have.
Yeah, I've said it. You know, I don't want to pump up your tyres, mate, but I've said it to a few people that you have a maturity beyond your years when it comes to racing, mate, and like that's something I think that a lot of younger riders, like, they get so fixated on the actual number of the result, like their placing.
Yeah.
If they just go out there and ride their best, they would end up, you know, doing a lot better and going out and having fun. I think that's why you do it. It's awesome.
Yeah, because I've noticed in myself, like I'm not going to lie here, a bit like in the times in the pre-season stuff, I've been too hard on myself. I put too much pressure.
Yep.
And like obviously, like I still perform like all right, but then I get like super bummed and upset if I don't think, and I'm just too hard myself.
Yep.
And I put like too much pressure. That's why I would go out and try to keep it more fun. Then when I feel like when I'm having fun and stuff, the results just come easier and better and stuff.
Yep.
And just having that like fun like atmosphere, and then having like a good open mindset really helps me.
Yeah,
I feel so.
And do you surround yourself with people that like other riders and like, you know, in the Oates program and with John Parks, is that sort of the same mentality as the riders that you sort of hang out with during the week?
Yeah, like with the John Park boys, we all take it pretty seriously. Like obviously Kyle Webster and Chandler Burns and like Matthew Peluso and Noel James and Kobe Iberico and all of us boys and Zane McIntosh that all do the John's program. Like obviously we're all like having fun and stuff like that. John's and it's fully serious, and we're all taking it all serious. So we're all like in the same boat, basically. And we just,
man, I didn't realise. I knew, you know, probably half of those riders were on the program, but yeah, I didn't realise like Webster was doing that program as well. That's unreal.
Yeah, Webster's been doing John for like ever and ever since I've known of Webster.
Yep.
He's always been with John.
Yeah. How many years have you been on that? Because Chandler Burns was speaking really, really highly of it as well.
Yeah, I couldn't speak high enough about the program. It's pretty sick. But I've only started the John program this year.
Yep. Like
since the start of the year.
Oh, so
I'm still fairly new to it, and I'm enjoying it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, before I let you go, who are your picks for Horsham in the other classes? I won't make you pick your class because that'd just be cruel. But MX1 and MX2, who do you reckon is going to get up there at Horsham?
I started with MX2. I reckon P1 is going to be Connolly, and then P2 Fergo, so Noah Ferguson, and then I would like to see Reek Bud in position 3.
Yep.
Like that's who I'm picking.
Yep.
And then for MX1, I reckon Webster.
Ooh, on a hard pack track.
Ooh. Yeah, I reckon he's got it. I reckon Webster for P1, and then I don't know. It's really difficult.
Ferris is good up there.
I know, that's what I was thinking, but then Jed's also really good.
Yeah. Yeah, Jed seemed to struggle on the hard pack tracks a little bit last year, I reckon.
Could have been the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, well, they're both on the same team, and I heard Jed's really comfy on his bike, so yep. I reckon I'm going to have to go with Jed for second,
yep,
and then Ferris third, and then I reckon Wilson Todd fourth, and then Luke Clout fifth, I reckon.
That's almost what they all finished in Wonthaggi, with the exception of Crawford in fifth and Cloud in sixth. So,
yeah,
we'll get a repeat. All right, that's your prediction.
That's my pick, I reckon.
All right, there might have to be something in it,
then, boys. But...
might have to be something in it for you if you get that right. That'd be pretty impressive.
Well, I hope I get it right, because one of the rounds at the Supercross, Lockie Mills is a Honda mechanic, and him and we all like watch Supercross together and at Whitey, so that's Davey Motorsport.
Yep.
And then I picked for the 250 class when VL won. I picked the top 3 out, and I got it correct. So hopefully my pick can go again.
Yep, the motocross Supercross whisperer, Kayden Strode. Nah, unreal, mate. Well, thanks heaps for coming on the show. I definitely still want to get you in studio to do an Inside the Helmet episode. So we will have to tee that up sooner rather than later, I think. It's been awesome having you call in tonight.
Yeah, I reckon we've got to do an in-studio meet-up, so that'll be pretty sick.
No, all right. Well, we'll make it happen. But like I said, thanks heaps for coming on tonight. And, we'll let you go and we'll speak to you up at Horsham.
All right, thank you, boys. I'll see you guys at Horsham.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah, have a good night. Bye.
Oh, man, that was awesome having Strode on the line, wasn't it?
I was really impressed by his attitude.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, mature is just
Yep. Yeah.
such a good attitude to have.
Yeah, talking to a few people in the industry and people that definitely know, know riders. They all comment on his tenacity, his determination, and it's always fun to chat to him. And he's like, I said it to him just then, he's got a wisdom beyond his years.
Yeah.
So, I look forward. I hope he sticks with racing for many years to come, and I look forward to seeing where he can take it. So I think, he's got the right attitude. The world's going to be his oyster.
Good to get him in the studio.
Definitely, like I just said, it's we've spoken about it before, and I'd love to get him in here sooner rather than later and do an Inside the Helmet and just, hear about all his background, because I actually don't know. He's on the Mental for Moto rider program.
Yeah.
But, I don't know too much about his sort of junior career or, where he's come from. I know that he wasn't sort of like one of those guys that had an outstanding junior career.
Yeah.
But he's definitely finding his stride now, that's for sure.
For sure.
Look forward to seeing him out at Horsham. So, speaking of Horsham, at this stage, we'll just sort of wind up. Yeah, look ahead to round 2. It looks like the weather's going to be good.
Perfect.
So, it's going to be dry. So, we're probably going to see the Horsham that we have seen in years past. From talking to people that have a lot of experience there, like I was chatting to Peter Boyle this morning. He's raced up there several times. He said they usually wet it quite a lot in the morning. So it ruts up super deep. And Kayden said the same.
Yeah.
Same thing. Ends up being sort of rutty and wet in the morning, and then hard pack and ruddy and technical, probably pretty square edgy by the end of the day. So very, very different to Wonthaggi.
As in track layout, jumps, obstacles, in what way?
I think just the surface.
Every aspect.
More than anything, just the surface. So, riders tend to be specialists more often than not.
Yeah.
So I think, it's pretty hard. We've done a little bit of bench racing tonight and made a few predictions. But I really think that after this round, we've got a surface that's going to be very, very different to Wonthaggi. And it's going to tell a story after the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a far better picture of
how the rest of the season's going to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Gilman's sandy. Moving up to Queensland, we've got rid of Coolum now, so we've actually got some more hard pack tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Toowoomba is hard pack. Gympie, I don't know. I haven't been up there. QMP is a hard pack track. Murray Bridge being where it is, I'd imagine it's a hard pack, but I don't know. These are new tracks. So it's going to be cool. Going to be a great season.
Get those first race jitters out of the way. Wonthaggi.
Yep.
And the sand.
Yep. Yeah. You don't want to read too much into the results at Wonthaggi, but I think by round 2 we're going to get a far clearer picture.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It's only less than a week away, so hopefully we see some of the Gippy crew and the fans from down this way make the pilgrimage up to Horsham, because it's only about a 5-hour drive.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
North of Melbourne, and by all accounts, the facilities are amazing. The track's amazing from a spectator point of view, and even for myself as a photographer, I've heard that it's a lot easier to get around. Like Wonnie, the start gate is so far away from the first corner. Even it's a long start straight, and then the finish line's up the other end. And I covered, I think, 16 or 17 kilometres on Sunday at Wonthaggi, just taking photos. So I think hopefully at Horsham, I can
bit
leave my
easier.
runners at home, and I don't have to cover quite as much
Just need to
ground.
get a golf cart or something so you could just drive around and just have cameras mounted to it.
Well, there's usually marshals and riding around in those Polaris
Yeah,
things.
Just jump on the back.
Yep. I'll get the medical crew just to drive me around. Yep. Just lay me out on the stretcher. I can have a nana nap halfway through the day.
Put your arm in a sling or something like that.
Yeah.
Just pretend you're injured.
That'd be all good until one of the riders needs it. It's like-
Yeah, you'll be thrown off.
So, looking forward to it. Oh, that's been our... Yeah, well, we've got to come up with a name for it. It's not sort of a review show. It's not a... the show that looks at the upcoming round. So a review...
I like the way of that,
Yep,
that sounds.
and the show that looks at the upcoming round. If anyone can think of a really, really cool name for these shows that we're going to have between each round of the ProMX this season, there's a set of Deathgrip gloves in it for you.
Done.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks, Trav, for coming in the studio, mate. It's been a pleasure having you back in here again, and
Thanks for
I've
having me.
actually missed it. It's always a lot of fun having you in studio.
Appreciate it, mate. It's always good to be here.
Yeah. Thanks to Kayden Strode for calling in and giving us his insight tonight. And, of course, thanks to our partners here at Mental for Moto, Graphics by Aqua, Deathgrip Products, Works Racing, Wolf Building Compliance, Iro, 5 Gloves, and Bolt Premium Racewear. That's it for tonight. I've been your host, Pete Wolf. Until next time, see
Peace
ya.
out.